Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network. For the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews, press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. From the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the Schmoes know, this is Meet the Movie Press. Roundtable movie news and commentary from the industry's premier film journalists.
Well, hello and happy Friday, Meet the Movie Pressers. Is that a word?
I don't know, but now it is.
Now it is. My God, welcome, Jeff Sneider. Haven't seen you in like 3 weeks.
We're back from Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Hello, Schmoville.
Yes, and Jeff Sneider, a film reporter for The Wrap.
That's right. Mark Reilly.
Yeah.
Editor-in-chief of schmoesknow.com.
That's me. That's me, and we're back from the holidays. We had a nice break. Of course, I was sick like 3 weeks ago, and Jeff took over, and then Jeff went to Massachusetts.
That's right. I got a little break away from the bubble that is Los Angeles. It was nice.
How nice. I mean, I went to Orange County, which is kind of its own beast, but still away, but under the orange curtain. So you have your own issues going down there. But
the orange curtain. I don't know that I've ever heard that before.
Oh, yeah. The orange curtain is if you're on the 5 and you start to pass Disneyland, like you see these curtains like in Roger Rabbit, and the birds like pull them apart, and you just drive through, and it's like Toontown.
Oh, no. I want to watch that movie this weekend.
But all the tunes are Republicans. That's kind of how it is in Orange County. So how was your break, my friend?
It was good. You know, I watched a lot of award screeners with my family. It was interesting to see like what normal people like and don't like. They couldn't really stand Foxcatcher.
Okay.
They really liked Nightcrawler and Sniper. They love Sniper, and how is American Sniper?
I'm hearing that's across the board is going to be one of those movies like that people love, Academy loves.
Yeah, the critics loves. Maybe are have a little bit tougher stance on.
Are they mixed?
Mixed positive, I think.
Okay.
You know, it's a movie to admire, but not necessarily love.
Okay. I want to see it.
So it was just interesting watching it with a quote unquote normal audience. All those types of movies.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And there was
you.
I watched Hunger Games and the Star Wars teaser trailer 877 times.
Right. We're going to talk about that later in the show.
Absolutely.
When Jamie gets on.
Yes, and we do have Jamie from I Am Rogue.
Oh, okay.
He is the managing editor coming in.
Yeah, we'll get him on in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Hunger Games, though, I saw that as well.
Yes.
Hated it.
Yes. I had many, many problems with it as well.
It's half a movie.
It's half a movie. It was very slow. I mean, you're making, again, it's this thing they do where they break up the books.
Right.
I get it with Harry Potter. That was a huge book, and there's a lot going on. So sure, it makes sense. And business-wise. But Hunger Games, that's like one of the shortest books of the series, and to make it into 2 movies, you felt it in that movie.
I was very disappointed with it. I liked Hunger Games and really liked Catching Fire.
Catching Fire is the best so far.
So the series had momentum for me, and it kind of lost it. Listen, I'm still going to see Mockingjay Part 2, and I'm sure it'll be really cool because we'll get a resolution to this whole thing. But
sure.
Man, this was a letdown. Not gonna lie.
It was a letdown for me. So, did you see the Star Wars teaser in theaters?
No, I didn't actually. But yeah, like you, I've watched it a fair share online.
Yeah, we'll get to that, of course. But
yeah,
we are going to bring in. I mean, let's
do it.
Let's bring in our guest.
Get him on.
We have Jami Philbrick coming in, managing editor from IamRogue.com.
Hi.
Jamie, welcome to the show. Put on your cans there. You can hear the applause.
Oh, yeah.
The studio audience, as I say, they line up outside. We give them stickers just like
it's
Price
like
is
the Today Show.
Yeah, I know. I know. You'll get your turn there, Dad. Get out of the camera. Okay. No, my dad's not there. That's actually my mom. So welcome, Jamie. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm honored to be here. Thank you guys so much
We're glad
for
to have
inviting me. You normally have to beg people let me be on their show, but you guys invited me, and I feel honored, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I mean, you talked to head Schmo Christian Harloff, who kind of set this up. Where did you meet him and
I met Christian on AMC Movie Talk.
Okay, so you've done AMC Movie Talk?
I've been doing AMC Movie Talk probably about once or twice a month for the last 6 months.
Nice.
And it's been nice to kind of get in there, and I love that show. John does a great show, and they have great fans, great audience.
Yeah.
And Christian was on my first show, and I've probably done 2 or 3 with him since, and he's great.
So tell us about I Am Rogue, because I this is a site that I've gone to many times.
Now I don't believe
years.
that. I call BS on that because you're very kind to say that, but I don't. Well, I don't know if you don't feel this way. I'm sure on the rap, but for me, I feel like sometimes I don't know. Is anyone even reading this stuff? Does anyone even know what? Is anyone watching any of this? I feel like it's just in a vacuum sometimes.
I think we all have those moments.
Do you?
Oh,
okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you never know what's gonna hit sometimes. I mean, we'll do scoops or exclusives or just special article stories, and maybe sometimes I'll look at the analytics and go, that didn't really catch fire, but then you don't know what is nowadays. But I like what I Am Rogue says, movie news for movie fans from a movie studio.
I wrote that.
You wrote that.
I wrote that, yes.
It's great.
And that's what makes it different, honestly, than all the other sites out there.
Absolutely.
It makes it unique.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, so Relativity Media is my parent company.
Yes.
So they own iamrogue.com.
Right.
And are great. And really, as far as people always ask me all the time, like, oh, so what's the connection? Do they tell you what you can do? No, they're great.
Yeah.
They leave me alone completely. There's no micromanagement. I can cover whatever I want. I can,
you have editorial independence.
I have absolutely editorial independence. Now, there is sort of an understanding that when one of our projects are coming up, I'm going to help promote that as well. Right. Yeah. So maybe we'll have 3 stories on Beyond the Lights when other websites are doing 1 story.
I hear that movie's so good. I haven't seen it.
I've heard really good things.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to enjoy it, but I thought it was really. Minnie Driver's great in it.
I've heard that.
Minnie Driver's great in it, and the one name in show business no one can say, Gugu Mbatha Raw. Yeah, she's great too. So anyways, or once in a while, maybe once a year they'll say, hey, can you talk to someone and do this thing for us and blah blah blah, and I'm like, no problem. I don't mind at all because you guys let me do what I want to do with the site, and so they're great to work with.
Do they ever, I don't know, like favor you in terms of movie news? Like, could you get the jump on The Crow or something like that, or no? Okay.
No, and that's okay. Okay. I mean, there's definitely not on movie news. I mean, I would definitely say it's understood that I'm going to get spots at the junkets.
You get access to talent.
Right, I'm going to get access to talent. Okay. Absolutely. And set visits and things like that with our films. But as far as, letting us know ahead of time what's going to happen in casting and that kind of stuff, no, we're independent.
Not really.
And honestly, we don't really, I don't really play that game too much as far as chasing casting stories and those kind of scoops,
exclusives.
Yeah, those kind. I mean, we do a lot of scoops and we do a lot of exclusives, but those come out of my interviews. So if I'm talking to, for instance, Hugo Weaving for The Mule, of course I'm going to ask him about why he doesn't want to play Red Skull anymore. Why, is there going to be more Matrix movies? Have you talked to Wachowskis about that? Like that kind of stuff. But that's all going to come out of my interviews.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah. I was when I was, stalking you on the internet. Or research.
Research.
I was looking at your Hugo Weaving, and why doesn't he want to do Red Skull?
I don't know.
I'm interested in that. I'm a geek.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing too because I talked to him for the first time when he was promoting Cloud Atlas. So that's maybe 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And Captain America had come out.
Yeah.
And we knew I don't know, maybe Avengers wasn't even out at this point. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I don't think it was.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't out. So we knew Red Skull was probably not going to be in that, but we knew Captain America 2 was coming. And then, it just and I'm a huge comic book geek fan.
Yeah.
So knowing the comic books, you just know Red Skull. You can't be done with Red Skull after the first movie.
And it left it kind of open.
He's going to come back at some point.
Yeah.
And so I asked him about it, and he was very, at the time, I don't want to say negative on it, but I mean, very like, no, I've done that. I had a fun time on it. Joe Johnson was great. I liked working with them, but I'm just not interested in doing it. I've done that. I don't.
Been there, done that. Time to move on.
Yeah, it just seemed like he didn't want to do it, and so when I was talking to him recently for The Mule, I wanted to just sort of follow up and say, a couple years ago, have you changed your mind? Maybe you see Winter Soldier and you see how good it is and see what Marvel's doing.
Yeah.
And you might want to be part of it. And he's like, no, I'm still, no, I haven't read. He's like, he said to me, and I quote, never say never.
Right.
He's leaving the door a little open, but not much. He's basically in no uncertain terms said, I don't want to do it. I'm not interested in it.
That might be interesting to see if they back a Brinks truck up and bring him in for Avengers 3 some way. I don't know.
How is The Mule? I'm just curious because I still haven't seen it.
You know what? I'm really digging Australian crime dramas.
Yeah.
They
I
are,
like
because
them a
there was
lot.
The Mule, Felony that came out recently, Joel Egerton and Jai Courtney. Tom Wilkinson's great. I mean, obviously, going back a couple years, Animal Kingdom.
Sure.
And, I mean, they just, there was Red something.
Red Hill?
Red Hill, yeah, another great. So, I really like The Mule. You know, I enjoyed it, but I'm really digging some of these Australian crime
Cool.
films
I've been
they've
meaning to
doing.
see that one. I was just curious. Sorry.
It's a good one to see. No, absolutely. So as far as that, and the other thing I want to say about doing scoops and stuff like that is, like, definitely when I started I Am Rogue, you know, that we were kind of chasing that a little bit.
Okay.
But I kind of realized at a certain point a couple of things. One is you got to focus on what your strengths are. You got to
I agree.
Go to where your strengths are. And I'm really good at doing interviews. That's kind of been my bread and butter. So the site has sort of become morphed into more of, you know, an interview site, you know, and video is our big priority. So we do a lot of video interviews, a lot of print interviews. We also do daily news, obviously.
Yeah.
And the truth is, there are guys that are really good at getting scripts early, talking to people working in productions and getting scoops. You're very good at it.
That's
Devin
Jeff,
Badass is very good at it. Frosty's very good at it. I don't need to try to compete with you guys. You know what I mean? You guys do it well. And so I'll let you guys kind of do that. And we're certainly going to cover it when a big story comes up, a big casting or something. We're going to cover that. But short of that, I try to kind of play to our own strengths and, you know, let others who do those things really well do them well. And we try to do what we do really well.
How many people write for the site? Okay,
Just you.
No, I do. There's two of us. So we was a very
That's pretty cool, though.
We have a very limited staff and very limited budget.
Sure.
And so I have a part-time staff writer.
Okay.
I want to say give props to Jordan DeSanier out there.
There you go.
Jordan's amazing, and he does our daily news for us. He's basically part-time, but works kind of full-time for me.
Yeah.
So he does probably about 4 to 6, depending on how much news is in a day, news stories, and then he'll work a couple features for me a week, because I do all of the exclusive interviews. So I do every phone interview and every in-person interview is me.
That's
and
great.
then I'm editing all of my own video. Sometimes I'm even shooting my own video. So
Wow.
I'm doing all of that, plus, you know, scheduling the site and overseeing, you know, editing what Jordan does and overseeing social networking and our contests and all that other stuff. And so Jordan will once in a while, like maybe I'll go to a press conference or a round table, it's not an exclusive, and just hand the transcript over to Jordan and say, write this up for me. So he does a couple of this week. And we'll also do a lot of top 10 lists and stuff like that. He helps me with that.
That's
but
great.
other than that, it's completely me. I have an assistant who does my transcribing for me. Thank goodness I don't have to do that
I wish
anymore.
I had one of those.
And helps me set up contests. But other than that, you know, it's, I mean, I make a joke where I say, I am Rogue, like I am Rogue,
Right.
you know, because I'm doing all the, you know, I've almost got like 3 or 4 different hats because I'm managing the site, doing all the that stuff that job would require, scheduling interviews.
Yeah, you got to
scheduling
juggle a lot of
screenings.
responsibilities.
Yeah, doing all that stuff, and then also being the lead reporter, lead interviewer, and then also editing my videos and doing all that. But you know, there's a certain control that comes from that too, which is great, so that I know the video is going to look the way I want the video to look like.
Sure.
We're going to present everything the way we want to present it on the site.
God, it's always so interesting to see the different kind of the sites, the guests that we've had. You get a different answer every time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I would love to have an 8-person staff like Frosty, or you know, and originally when I pitched the idea for the site to Relativity, you know, I would loved to have had, you know, a comic book section, a TV section, and to have other, you know, entertainment sections that we're interested in. But, you know, really at a certain point you have to bite off as much as you can chew. And so I decided very early on, because of the limited staff I have, and obviously I can't be running myself crazy.
Right.
And I do already anyways, just covering movies, that we concentrate on movies. We certainly concentrate on the geek culture stuff that we love.
Absolutely. So more exclusively movie stuff.
Yeah,
really.
movie stuff, but we do venture into the TV when we want to venture into TV.
Yeah.
So I love DC, so we'll cover Flash and Green Arrow and, you know, all those kind of shows, news. And then at the same time, we're also, you know, if I get offered to interview Mike Tyson for his new cartoon, I'm not going to say no.
Oh, that'd
You
be
know,
good.
I'm into to interviewing, you know, so we'll do certain TV stuff that we want to do.
Okay.
But for the most part, we have to kind of focus on just the movies.
Very
All right.
cool.
Well, speaking of movies, let's start talking about some of those.
Let's do that. And
so the Star Wars teaser. Let's discuss that.
Let's talk about the Star Wars teaser, because
Kick it off.
There we go. Star Wars.
I'm the biggest Star Wars geek that ever lived, and I probably if they just showed, I heard somebody say if they just showed that Sith walking in the woods and that was it. I mean, I still would have loved it, but we got so much more.
I feel like this is an actual reality show where they should have everyone who says I'm the biggest Star Wars geek ever. Just put it's like Hunger Games. Just put you guys in the ring and let you battle it out.
I even thought
Just
of
put lightsabers in the middle,
that could seriously be a show.
It's so everybody is, and I mean this trailer is going on to break the record of the most views on the internet, which makes sense. It was really good. I feel like it's one of the best teasers I've seen. I love how they started with just people you haven't seen before,
introducing
new characters, not relying on Luke, Leia, Han, and just going right into it. Christian says it all the time. There was an urgency to the trailer, which I totally agree with, and to see everything, and then just to end it with the Millennium Falcon. That's your nostalgia right there.
As a hardcore Star Wars fan, were you at all slightly disappointed that there was no like classic characters shown in the trailer?
Yes,
because I definitely had that feeling when I first saw it. I loved it, but there was a feeling of like, oh, I didn't get. And then the more I saw it, and the more I thought about it, I was like, no, I'm glad I didn't get that.
I'm kind of with you.
Because we know what that is. I want to introduce the new stuff, and I love the fact
this is for the next generation of fans.
And I love the fact that it felt like a Star Wars movie, even though you didn't see any of those characters. It felt like, you know, JJ made his Star Wars movie, and I'm really excited to see it.
You can see the like he's not catering to the fans; he is a fan, and so he's making his Star Wars movie.
He's always said that he was more of a Star Wars fan than a Star Trek fan.
Yeah, that's why it was kind of a no-brainer. But originally, before he was hired, everybody was he's doing Star Trek. He will never do Star Wars. Guess what?
Right.
Yeah,
you don't turn down that opportunity.
A story broken by the rap.
Yeah,
no
that's
less.
right. That's
not me.
That's
my,
right.
My old colleague Lucas Shaw.
That's cool, man. So, Jeff, what did you think of the teaser?
I am someone who's not a Star Wars fan, so to speak. I mean, I've seen the original trilogy a long time ago, and I have only seen Revenge of the Sith. I never saw Menace or Clones.
You don't need to.
Yeah,
right. So I have a different
maybe that
perspective
last
than
half
most
of
people.
Clones.
Yeah,
but for the first time, it got me excited about this franchise. It felt like this was for me. You know, everything else I felt like was for the fans of the original trilogy. The prequels I felt like were for those people.
Yeah.
This finally feels like something I can have some quote unquote ownership over.
That's a good point, and it's a great point, and I do like the introduction of all the new characters, the new droid, some of the new ships. Well, one ship I guess with Daisy Ridley, and then bringing that nostalgia like with the X-wings. That's where I got tears. Literally, I went.
Right. So you're like geeking out over the machinery. I geeked out over the cast, you know, seeing Oscar up there.
Yeah, seeing Oscar's great.
The opening shot with John I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes to like a lot of the stuff we talked about. We've done it here. I think everybody's done it on every show they've ever had, which is like when we heard that this trailer was coming. First it was like a rumor, then there was like maybe John Williams is putting some new music on. Maybe it's going to come before Into the Woods or The Hobbit. There was all these things, and it dropped, and it was it was great.
This was something you sat around the Thanksgiving dinner table being like, so who's going to watch Star Wars tomorrow morning?
Yeah, no, Christmas came early for the nerds, you know, and it was great. And the other thing I wanted to say about the trailer I loved is, and then everyone's talking about this new lightsaber.
Yeah,
and what I thought was super cool about it was it almost looks makeshift to me.
Yeah,
like, I am almost wondering if it's not like an official lightsaber, but whoever this new Sith is,
he figured it out.
Yeah, like because it like even if you look at the blade, like it's not as thick as the ones we're used to. It's almost more of like a thinner, like
that's right. This is geek like,
I know. There's.
I thought it looks really cool. Like it just made me think about all these possibilities about what that means.
Man, talk about like the nerds and the geeks like me reacting to that, and then discussing it over Jeremy John's a good friend of the show, a good friend of mine. He's a huge YouTube guy, and he went bonkers over the trailer like we all did, but then he was like, first thing I did was watch the trailer. Second thing I did was check Riley's Twitter to see what he thought, because he knows I'm such a geek. And then we got into this discussion about the lightsaber. He's like, I think they put it together and it was like not fully
Oh
fashioned.
no, people are talking online like, oh well, that wouldn't work because you cut yourself on the side part. I mean, like whatever, it's a movie.
It's
just
a
let them do
space
it.
opera fantasy. Get over it.
If you can operate the Force, then you can operate this thing so it doesn't cut.
And
you.
the ball droid looked really cool.
I think that I'm calling that R2D 2.2.
Yeah,
yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was so different, but still kind of gave you that. It felt like the original trilogy.
And was it Devin who said that it may be female?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Oh,
yeah. I did read that somewhere. Was it Devin? Yeah,
I think so.
He talked to somebody who was like referred to it as she.
Right. Yeah, she's a cute little thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I mean, you know, so it broke the internet. I'm sure everybody posted it on their sites, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And even I got a chill hearing that music. You know, at the end.
Yeah. And I did, as a huge movie score lover, I could pick up the new Williams score, which I thought was very reminiscent of a Return of the Jedi scene when Luke is jumping off into the sail barge. That's right. I know these things. I love it. And it was just great. So I mean, God, we could go on for hours with this, but.
Job well done, Disney.
Yeah,
well done.
No, they do. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, really well done. It was an event. It became all anybody talked about, and I just loved it. And it kind of goes into a segment that I like to call the hopeful news break. And there was a. Did you hear that?
I was waiting for a thing.
There it is.
Where's the thing? There it is.
We got a computer.
Bunk.
Jamie, what we do here, pretty much at the start of the show, is hopeful news break. Over at Meet the Movie Press on the Facebook page, I ask everybody, it's like, you know, based on what you're hearing out there, what do you want to hear next? A lot of people wanted this trailer in the hopeful news break. They were like, let's get the trailer. We heard about it. It's a rumor. Like, it started with the rumor, and it's like, is it going to come? Is it going to come? So what we do is we read a couple comments, and we kind of discuss it, and Jeff's very good at, like, what he hears and what I've heard, maybe what you've heard, and we kind of say, is it possible? Could we hear this? Could we not? So I'm going to go to this first one, which I really like, and it's bringing some Fox in with Fantastic Four and also some offshoots of the Star Wars, and this is from Dylan Harding. Pictures or maybe a trailer for Fantastic Four. Let's start with that first. Way too curious what the movie's going to be. Have you guys heard? I've heard that there's a trailer coming and that it's going to show sometime.
Before the end of the year?
Maybe not the end of the year. Maybe. Jeff, have you heard anything?
I'll tell you, and I was thinking about this earlier this week. I have not heard anything about the Fantastic Four trailer.
Yeah.
If I was Fox, go big. Go Super Bowl.
Absolutely. That's a good point. And we are hearing a lot. There's rumors that Marvel does not like the treatment that Fox is doing, so they're discontinuing the series. No more comics. So there's a lot riding on this movie. And then the new synopsis came out, and there's that rumor that Doctor Doom is actually a blogger, which is
I've heard that.
Very interesting. So there's a lot of question marks to this. So this is a great one, Dylan, that you want to know. Way too curious. I mean, we've got, and we'll get into this, Deadpool from Fox. We've got, more X-Men coming, obviously Marvel with Doctor Strange and everything's going on there. The Fantastic Four is like kind of the question mark now.
Not for me.
No?
I have complete faith in Josh Trank. I'm really excited by what I think that he is going to do with that, and I love the cast. So
the cast,
I'm in.
You can't beat the cast, and you also, I think, what Trank does so well, like what he did with Chronicle, is just grounding it in realism. That's really interesting for me because Fantastic Four is somewhat of the most cartoonish of the superhero genre.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a big rock thing, you got a stretchy guy, a guy that turns on fire, and it's a family.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see. So I do want to see. I don't know what the tone could be. I have an idea, but. Yeah, Jamie, any ideas? Do you think we're going to get a trailer?
No.
Anytime soon?
No,
okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I think this is all just my own conjecture. I don't have any evidence or any, sources on this. I just think that Fox is probably concerned with the way it's going, and wants to keep and since it's going to be specifically so different than what we're used to from the comics and in the previous films, I think they want to kind of keep that under wraps until they're really sure that they got something ready to show. I'm not as enthusiastic about this film as I think you guys are.
I just like
I'm a hardcore
the cast and the director.
I don't love the cast. I love the director. I love Josh. I loved Chronicle. And I'm optimistic. I don't like the things I'm hearing about some of the choices that they're making with the story.
And I
don't love the cast. I was not a Miles Teller fan. Okay. I actually have to say I'd never liked him in any movie, and then I saw Whiplash, and that's one of my favorite movies of the year, and he's brilliant in it. So I'm a little bit more optimistic about Miles now that I've seen Whiplash than I was before.
Okay. All right.
I don't really see Kate Mara as the Invincible Girl. I actually, Jamie Bell, which was the one that got the most sort of like, how's he going to be Ben? That's the one that I actually the most. I'm kind of like, okay, that I can see how that would work.
Doesn't Kate Mara have to be an upgrade though? Over Jessica Alba?
It's for me.
Jessica Alba's not that bad in those movies, and actually, I don't think that the first two Fantastic Fours are as bad as people think they are. They've been showing them on HBO a lot recently, and I've been watching them, and like, I don't think they're that bad. They're not good. Yeah, they're not great by any means, but in a lot of I think superhero movies that have been given the mark of terrible over the last 10 years or so, I think hold up a little bit more. Look. Daredevil holds up. It's not as bad as I remembered it being.
Well, the director's cut kind of
the director's cut holds up a little bit more.
But yeah, I'm a huge Daredevil.
There are things I liked about Wolverine Origins.
Wow. Okay, this is good.
Yeah,
this is a good conversation. We get the other side because and it also
a lot of these movies that are hated as much. Yeah, well, listen, I can be accused of being a snob when it comes to superhero stuff too. But.
Jonah Hex should have won Best Picture.
Well. I worked on Jonah Hex when I worked in production, so my heart goes out to that. I will just say this, that no one sets out to make a bad movie. Everyone involved in that movie wanted to make the best Jonah Hex we could, and it just
always. Well, I want to switch gears because this is a good one. And for one last hopeful news break.
Okay.
And I want to get because I've started to hear a little bit of rumors about this as well. And George Nagorsky, I hope that's how I say it. George, I think he's been commenting a lot, so I like your stuff, dude. He'd like to know about Bill and Ted 3.
Oh, yeah.
Can we talk about Bill and Ted 3? Jeff Snyder's like, can we please talk about real stuff?
Bill and Ted 3.
Is it going to happen? Let's just say that.
I'll tell you, Keanu Reeves needs a real big hit for that to happen.
John Wick didn't do it for him, huh?
I don't think so.
John Wick was so good, though.
I heard good things.
So good. Yeah, I really like John Wick. And I love Keanu. Let me just say, like, again, people give him a rap for being like this bad actor. I think Keanu's a great actor.
I think Keanu.
And I think he's got the great performance in him. He just hasn't had a chance to do it yet.
Do you think there's really a public appetite these days for Bill and Ted? Do you think they can go and sell Bill and Ted in China these days? There's no George Carlin anymore.
Oh, that's true.
This series is done.
Can I actually say something? Because this brings up a point that I've been making to a lot of our colleagues over the last few weeks, and it started with Dumb and Dumber 2. And I watched Dumb and Dumber 2, and it's not good. I mean, it's really bad. And I was watching it, and it made me think about something, and I thought about it, and I think we are somewhat responsible as journalists for this movie, for Horrible Bosses 2, for Ghostbusters 3 or whatever that's going to be, for Pacific Rim 3, 4, 5, for Bill and Ted's, because, and listen, I'm as big a culprit as anyone. If I have an opportunity, to talk to Keanu Reeves, I'm going to ask him about Bill and Ted 3, because that's circling out there. And if Keanu gives me a quote, then that's a story for me, and
then
people get traffic, and that's how this works. But I feel like we need to take, as journalists, a certain responsibility.
Yeah.
Now, it also is the responsibility of the filmmakers to make a good movie.
Yes.
But what happens is we're writing nonstop stories about, let's say 3 years ago about Dumb and Dumber 2 or Ghostbusters 3. Studios see that. Now they need a property that's a name that's going to sell worldwide. Here's a name. Oh, wow, look at all these websites. People are talking about it. It's trending on Twitter. Wow, we need to greenlight this movie.
Yeah.
And they greenlight it without the script ready, without the, you look at Dumb and Dumber 2. It took 20 years and 16 writers to write that.
Right. Yeah.
To do that.
You missed your window. And all this stuff, Bill and Ted 3, The Goonies 2.
Yeah.
This shit isn't happening.
Yeah. And look, and it's our business. It's our business to talk about movies and to write articles that people want to read about movies they're interested in. See, I mean, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do what we do. I'm just saying that I think we have to take a certain responsibility for these bad movies that no one really wanted in the first place.
Well, you bring up a good point, because then a lot of these movies like Ghostbusters 3, Dumb and Dumber 2, Bill and Ted 3, there's, at least for me, I won't speak for the table, but you know, I grew up with some of those movies.
Absolutely.
So going now, it's like you get excited.
No, there's nostalgia to it. I mean, listen, no one wanted to see another Ghostbusters more than I did, but there's a certain point where I realized the Ghostbusters I want to see is not going to ever happen now.
Right.
It's never going to happen.
No,
that ship sailed 20 years ago.
There's been way too many, and I do sort of respect the kind of reboot, let's give it to an all-female cast, and Paul Feige with that. Right. That's actually interesting to me. However, I'm kind of with you, Sneider, on this Goonies 2, Bill and Ted's 3, Ghostbusters 3. Let's leave it alone.
Yesterday, you know, one of my rival trades and a reporter I like very much, I feel like they were trying to help Pauly Shore promote something, but they're like,
I saw that in Encino Man 2.
Right, it was buried at the end of the story, whatever he wanted to promote, and it's like, listen, we'll promote it if you'll give us something about Encino Man 2.
Can I tell you, I almost took that bait. I was supposed to interview Pauly.
Encino Man 2 is never happening.
Yeah, and if Pauly Shore says it, and I know
I'm talking to my agent. Pauly Shore, you and your agent can talk all goddamn day long.
Nobody's making Encino Man 2.
No studio's talking about it.
No, and
so to me, I read stories like that on, you know, a very well-respected
site. What about Biodome 2?
Yes, actually, I would be there for Biodome.
Yeah, I would too. I know.
I was for the last 15 years, I've been thinking, what happens in that Biodome after?
They grow weed.
Who was the villain that? Was that William Atherton?
Yeah.
It was.
So good.
It was. Yeah, okay.
So good. Let's talk about a squad.
A squad, yes. That was, guys, again, thank you for the Hopeful News Break. Every Wednesday, drop in your thoughts there. It
was a good conversation.
We had a little bit of good conversation there. And but way too much news to talk about. We gotta go right. Let's go Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Let's hit it.
Bring it on, Jeff, because I want to give you some props.
Guys, Will Smith, Tom Hardy, Margot Robbie, Jared Leto, Jai Courtney, and Cara Delevingne. That's a cast.
It's a fantastic cast.
It's a crazy cast, and you started it off, Jeff, with your nice exclusive about Jared Leto.
Right. It was like I left this show, you know, whenever my last show was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I got that tip later in the day. I made a bunch of calls. It took some balls to drop it, but where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
And
well, you were right on the money with this.
I think it's great. I think it's really good casting.
I love the casting.
Yeah.
I know that people are upset, like, oh, how could you, you know, have the Joker in this movie and it was Heath's role and blah, blah, blah. You can't keep the Joker on the sidelines for the next, like, comic book movies are right now. They're happening right now, and that is an iconic character. You can't keep him on the bench just because of a very
and I think Jared is a great actor to come in and do. He's going to do something different.
Yeah,
and
I think so too.
I mean, and he just won an Oscar.
And the storyline is they're going to give him something different to play. We haven't seen really the Joker in like a romance or.
And I don't think. I mean, I don't know what you know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think the Joker is going to be a huge role in this movie. I mean, I expect it to be a supporting role at best.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's kind of a setup for later.
I think so. I think so.
And I've heard different rumors and different speculating that, you know, it could be he's kind of like, and I hope they don't do this actually, because they've been doing this a lot. But the guy, you know, the Loki, the con in a government prison that kind of. You know, the origin story of Harley Quinn is that she was the lawyer for Joker.
The therapist.
The therapist, thank you. And would, you know, interview him and then fell in love with him and then became the crazy sidekick that she became. And then, but I like that.
Well, that's interesting if they do, like, if they use this to be Harley's origin story. Because I would have almost assumed she's already Harley when Amanda Waller picks the Suicide Squad team to do whatever this mission is.
I've never read the comic, and I don't know the different the differences that they could.
Different interpretations.
On the word, right?
Exactly. I'm an expert on the comics.
Like are Joker and Harley Quinn? Could they be the villains of the movie that the Suicide Squad has to go after?
No. Okay. More likely, Harley is a member of the Suicide Squad.
Okay.
So essentially, Suicide Squad is Amanda Waller, who's kind of the Nick Fury of the DC universe. She puts together. There's a mission that obviously whoever goes on it, a suicide mission, is gonna.
Yeah.
So they essentially say to these villains who are in prison, go on this mission for us, and if you succeed. Which you probably won't, you'll probably die. But if you succeed, then we'll give you your freedom.
I see.
But they have like, and this is in most of the different comics, they're injected with some kind of like bomb in their neck that if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they're going to explode. And,
nice.
And so the team, and then it's changed in different iterations of the comics or the cartoons or Smallville or Arrow or whatever. But Rick Flag, who Hardy is going to play, is kind of a hero who's been accused of something he didn't really do, and now he's sort of a villain. So he's kind of, Amanda goes to him and says, you're going to be the leader of this team. And then it's Deadshot and Harley wasn't even, when Rick was part of it, Harley wasn't part of it, but I can see how they're going to put it all together.
Now with Will Smith, I understand Deadshot has his face covered for
most of, I mean,
you think that's going to happen?
Well, I think it's a tough one. I mean, it's almost like Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. Like, you have to have that iconic mask.
Yeah.
But I would imagine being Will Smith, you're not going to cover it the whole time.
Right. You can't.
I actually thought, and originally they had it had been rumored that they were looking at Will Smith for Captain Boomerang and Jai as Deadshot, which
that was a mistake.
I never thought that made any sense, because just knowing the characters, Captain Boomerang's Australian, so that makes more sense. And also, honestly, I have to say, so Deadshot, Floyd Lawton's one of my favorite DC characters, and I love Will Smith, and so I think it's good casting. I actually maybe would have gone with Tom Hardy as Deadshot and Will Smith as Rick Flag.
That was me. Yeah, that's what I said on the main show last night. That didn't make sense to me.
And the reason I didn't think the Captain Boomerang thing made sense for Will Smith is any role Will Smith is in, he's the lead, no matter what. Because he's Will Smith.
Yeah.
There's no way an audience is going to see a movie and not look at him. So Captain Boomerang is not, you can't have him be the lead character.
Okay.
Now, Rick Flag or Deadshot both could hypothetically be the lead characters. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Will Smith kind of make Deadshot more. Deadshot's going to become more the lead because of Will Smith than he would have been had it been Hardy. Will would have been a great Rick Flag, and then Rick Flag's more of the lead, with Deadshot maybe being the antagonist of the group.
Interesting.
I think Will Smith is perfect for Deadshot, except for one thing. And I think Will's a great actor. You can watch Ali and know that.
Yeah.
But can he play a sadistic psychopath? Because that's what Floyd is. Now, with Rick Flag, he's more of like a hero who got accused of doing something bad and he's trying to put it there. But with Floyd, Deadshot is a sadistic a-hole. I don't know if Will Smith can play that. It'll change the character if he doesn't play it that way. We saw him play villain a little bit in Hancock, but not much. That's the only question mark for me with Will Smith is can he un-Will Smith himself enough to be really be a bad guy and not a good guy pretending to be a bad guy?
I think there's a reason why he's doing that, and that is to change his image somewhat, because I think people are kind of, including me, I said it last night on the show, I'm sick of it. I am not really interested in anything Will Smith is doing. However, I am with Suicide Squad because of this part. And I want to see him go balls out sadistic.
He really does. He has to do it.
What do you got to lose? Just do it.
Because Deadshot's such a brilliant character, and if he just kind of walks into it like Will Smith, it's gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that short list that Variety dropped for Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's nuts to me, and I'm going to say it right now. Cast Oprah Winfrey. I want that.
I want that so bad. I don't think in a million years she'd ever do it. She doesn't need the money.
I don't know. I feel like
there's no amount of money they can give her.
A lot of people give her a lot of, she's a talk show host. No, she's an Oscar.
She's a great actress.
She's an Oscar nominated. Did she win the Oscar? No.
She's never won an Oscar. She's only been nominated once
as well.
Color.
She's good in Selma? There you go. So it would be so interesting to me because, again, if we're talking about Will Smith playing against type, we're doing it with Oprah Winfrey as well. And that to me is interesting when characters do that, or actors that have this persona that you see and you're like, no, she would never, and she's Amanda Waller and she killed it. Like that.
I would love to see Oprah do it. I have to say, of those names, Viola Davis is perfect. Yeah. She is absolutely perfect.
Octavia Spencer, she's up there as well.
All three of them would be good, but I really think Viola would be the best.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me too. I agree with that.
Okay.
I think Oprah might be a little distracting. Like that's
a little bit. But I have to say, one of the best interviews I ever had was I got to meet Oprah this year.
Wow.
And interview her, and it's like, I can only explain, it's like an angel walking into the room.
Oh, wow.
It was like, and we were outside, it was on a red carpet, so their fans were going crazy, and it was like it's like the Beatles or something. Like you don't expect that, and it's
she's bigger than every.
I can't say I was an Oprah fan, but then I met her, and it's like
it's okay. You
go nuts. You go nuts.
All Oprah fans.
You go nuts for it. Like it's like talking to royalty. It's amazing.
Did you have a new car under your seat?
I wish
she's like, you have a new car.
No, but she did say that I asked her a great question.
Oh, there you go.
From the queen of interviews.
From Oprah.
I was very pleased with that.
I'm still waiting for Oprah to come my way, and you get an intervio, and you
get an interview, and you literally she should have been doing that on the red carpet. You get an interview, and you get an interview.
What else happened this week?
So let's talk. I want to talk about just for a minute because this is in the no shit Sherlock casting, and that's Benedict Cumberbatch as Dr. Strange.
We have to.
I always give props to my co-host Jeff Sneider for dropping the Joaquin Phoenix. Got so close to happening. He walks away. That to me was the best casting in the world. It sucks it didn't happen, but now there has been so many hopeful news breaks. Hey, who is it? Who is it? We've had the rumors, then the talks, then
now it's official. Of yesterday.
Whew. Okay,
it's over.
Are people happy about it?
I think so.
I think so too.
Why did it take so long to? I mean, was it just contracts? Just hammering that out?
Yeah, that kind of thing, and scheduling. I mean, he has a bunch of commitments. A lot of indie movies have been waiting for him, and now they'll probably have to keep waiting for him.
Right.
But
yeah, he's now part of the MCU. He's going to have 8-picture deal or something. He's going to show up at Comic-Con.
Will we see him before the Doctor Strange film? Like, will we see him in these Avengers reshoots?
I have a theory. And there's some reshoots happening with Age of Ultron, and then they just cast him. Somebody already called it out. I wish I could give you the proper credit, but this is not me.
Right.
But it makes sense that they might kind of throw a little cameo in there.
Slip him in,
yeah. Him and Black Panther, we're thinking is probably going to show up.
Civil War, I think he's going to.
Oh, I've been hearing that
that there would be a cameo,
right? That this is the Cap puts together. Cap puts together a new team at the end of Ultron, and that's maybe the reshoot that they're doing, and then they can bring in these people they've cast and maybe a Miss Marvel.
You're right on with that. I think so. Everybody out there. I mean, that took forever. This Doctor Strange stuff.
I thought it had been official because it broke like the day before Marvel broke the slate.
Yeah.
And when everyone was at the slate announcement, we thought, no one thought there was going to be the slate announcement. They thought it was just me. Okay, here's Benedict.
Yeah.
And some clip from Avengers.
As
and then they break that.
Total surprise for me. I know Mayimbe, who's been on the show a couple times, he had broke that years earlier. I don't know. He kind of heard that they were talking, but then it kind of went.
But then it took so long to get to this point, and I saw Benedict some award show, and someone was asking him about it, and he acted like he didn't know what he was talking about. I'm like, come on,
he's such a good actor.
No, and then that also pissed me off during the whole Star Trek Into Darkness campaign, promotion, and he'd go on Letterman tell me about the character you're playing. Like, I can't talk about it. Like, come on, we know you're Khan. Enough of the.
I think everybody was pissed off about that. I mean, and I have the story where I saw footage, a couple months before at CinemaCon in Vegas, and they dubbed over the lines. So even all the people in there didn't know he was Khan, and by then you're like,
well, we saw the same thing this week with Bond.
Yeah,
which we can now talk about.
Let's talk about Bond. Yeah. So what do you guys think?
Spectre. I like the title.
I love it.
Love the title. And one of my writers for the site kind of gave me a refresher course on it. It's like that was Blofeld,
right? From Goldfinger, yeah.
And that it's the organization, right? That and he's the leader of it, and Christoph Waltz is rumored to be Blofeld, or
They announced him as some guy like Oberhauser or something like that, but I think you're going to probably see him as Blofeld.
So is this? I mean, I know that the Bond movies kind of exist on their own. They kind of, there's not really a continuity. Like, there's no connection except for
through
when
all
the actors,
the films. Right.
Except when the actor like Daniel Craig, there's a connection to these stories.
Right.
And then like when Connery did it, of course.
Right. Bronson had his.
So is this kind of a remake, so to speak, of Goldfinger? Could it be?
No clue. I mean, I have no idea what that
it could end
up
about. Being that.
I mean, they released like a very vague logline, right?
Yesterday? Yeah, very vague. It's. I'm trying to remember it. It's just it sounds like Goldfinger a bit, but I think it's going to really rope it into the the overall through line of the story that we have with Daniel Craig that started with Casino Royale. So I'm really excited about it. I think the cast is fantastic.
And is this his last one, or he has one more after this, Daniel Craig?
No.
Well, that's what I was interested in, because Skyfall really kind of completed an arc between those three movies with the death of Vespa and kind of through that. And so I'm curious, is this the beginning of a new trilogy with Daniel Craig? But if he's only signed on to do one or two more, then maybe it's not. But or is it just like one more?
I think if they keep doing these movies right, like with Skyfall, that was an interesting process to get Mendes back, because it just kept seeming to fall apart, I guess. And then he was going to do a stage play, and it wasn't going to happen. And then they finally roped. I'm assuming here is lots of money. Please do this, because Skyfall is the highest grossing Bond film ever. So it makes sense, and I love having that team back together.
But I love Dave Bautista as one of the henchmen.
Yeah,
I think Monica Bellucci is just gorgeous.
I love that they cast
Monica
Bellucci in
Bond
this.
movie.
I love it.
And Leia Seydoux cool. Was that you guys? Did
we got that scoop that we knew Seydoux was going to be a Bond girl. I don't know. I was kind of thinking she would be a Miranda Frost character, but that was from the Brosnan period.
That was the Halle Berry one.
Yeah, because there was something I heard, but she's definitely not. But she is a Bond girl, or I don't know what she's going to do. I mean, it's very interesting.
She'll probably be a femme fatale of some sort.
Yeah,
she's
makes
got
sense.
that look.
Yeah, so that was Bond. I mean, God, we could go on for hours about all of this, but like, what else do you guys want to talk about that dropped yesterday?
Well, the X-Men tested this week as far as young Jean Grey and Cyclops.
Yes, we've been hearing a lot. That was a couple of your stories, right? That you broke.
Yeah. So I think we'll maybe get a word before the end of the year, before Christmas, and all of Hollywood goes on its exodus.
I know. Yeah, we're getting ready for that exodus, and
but Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse, it's funny.
Love it.
The last time I was on the show.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about this.
Right. So I had teased that there were 3 people up for Apocalypse, and one of whom had said the word Apocalypse a lot last year.
Yep.
And
I heard you say
the internet the internet takes that as Idris Elba is playing Apocalypse, and it's like, not quite.
Not quite. Yeah.
Listen, if Oscar had passed, if he had been too busy, if the salary, if the offer was not what he was looking for, it would have gone to Idris, and if Idris couldn't do it, it was going to go to Pedro Pascal, and it was not going to go beyond Pedro Pascal. He was not passing on that.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Oscar in the end they were able to work out a deal. And,
so was Idris the one who said Apocalypse a lot last year?
Yeah, it's like, you're canceling the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I loved about it is that Jeff calls in last week or a couple weeks ago, and drops it, and then I had some friends, some colleagues contact me and go, "Hey, do you know?" And I'm going to come clean and say I did know, but I was protecting my
There's
partner.
There's a bit of misdirection.
Here.
It's like, guys, I get paid to go to drop scoops on the rap, and if I can do like a little tidbit like that kind of hint that Idris is on the short list here, I will.
Yeah.
But it's kind of my responsibility to break that huge news on the site that's paying me.
Yes, exactly. And so I did play dumb, but and he did give me the
I told you it was Oscar.
Yeah, you did tell me it was Oscar. Yeah, you did, and I was like, ooh, okay. And I just let it play out, and then it played out the way I wanted it to.
A deal was not a foregone conclusion there. Obviously, Oscar is a pretty busy guy. He's in demand, and his salary is increasing.
Yeah.
And Fox, kind of known for being a little stingy, right? But this is also their big franchise, and in the end, they were being, this is the title character of our movie. Let's not mess around.
Plus, I mean, think about it. He's in Star Wars.
Yeah,
he's going to blow up.
He's blowing up,
and he won. You see, Most Violent Year did very well with awards this week or whatever. The NBR.
He's off and running. He's now cemented in geek culture.
Do we know yet? Is it confirmed that Hugh Jackman is returning for Apocalypse, or that's still just conjecture and rumor?
I mean, why wouldn't he?
But is it official? We don't officially know.
No, who knows? I mean, why wouldn't he be in the movie?
And I'm trying to wrap my head around. Has
there been an X-Men movie without him?
No, I mean you could make a case
First Class.
But he is in First Class.
The cameo.
But technically, Hugh Jackman has been in every X-Men movie.
I'm pretty sure Hugh Jackman's in the movie.
Now that they've kind of reset the timeline and he's in that timeline, I think that he will be there.
JT, give us 5 more minutes. Five more, buddy.
Do we have 5 minutes?
Who would you guys want to see as young Jean Grey from that list of Chloe, Haley, and Elle Fanning?
You know what? I want Haley.
Yeah, Haley.
Me too.
Yeah, I think because Chloe, we've seen her in the superhero kind of thing, and I think she looks more of Jean Grey, but Haley just has an interesting quality that I would love to see. She's such a good actress. True Grit is just absolutely, and just with her. So I want that.
She's very talented. I'd ask about the Cyclops, but I don't think anybody
I don't know who those guys are. I don't know who those guys are.
I mean, sure, that one guy with that name. Yeah, he's good.
He's got a name and a face.
Yeah, name and a face. Put some goggles on him. Let's shoot.
And what else? I know we're missing like one big thing. What else happened this week?
Well, I mean, and
Terminator trailer.
The Terminator trailer and Deadpool. Again, the Deadpool for me was the no shit Sherlock news.
Right.
I mean, it
what was
like,
the Deadpool news? Like, it's official.
It's official, I guess. But see, it kind of morphed. It was like he's in talks, and then it was. Then I saw an exclusive on a site that I won't mention. That was like exclusive, and I'm like, why is that
exclusive? He tweeted it.
Yeah,
like, they're all tweeting it. Exclusive.
Saw it.
Yeah,
it's really funny. The day before all that broke, I was talking to someone on the team Reynolds.
Okay,
and I was just like, hey, is Ryan doing Deadpool? And she's like, pretty sure he is. Yeah. Like, why wouldn't he be? I think that they're just closing his deal. So I could have gone with something like that, but I thought it was a foregone conclusion. Like,
it really
if he wasn't doing it, then it's news.
I mean, didn't he shoot a teaser already?
Yeah, they shot the teaser.
Like, why would he shoot a teaser and not do the movie?
The teaser was all computer generated.
Right, he just did his voice.
And he did his voice. Okay. But he's been championing this project, and I heard many stories. It was like, no, he said he wanted to do it. That's why it's happening. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, let's be honest, too. Ryan Reynolds sees a franchise. He ain't the Green Lantern.
No.
So this is his best chance at making something happen.
This may be his last chance too.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the team behind it is pretty good. I like the writers. They wrote Zombieland, which I love. I think they have the tone in their mind that could work.
First time director. Hopefully it's an R.
Yeah, and I'm like I said, I've heard PG-13. There was even something that they figured out the script to make it PG-13. I don't know how that works. I want a hard R Deadpool movie. I think that's how it would work.
I totally agree, but I think Fox will go PG-13.
Probably.
Yeah,
they'll probably make this on some kind of a budget.
Absolutely.
I don't think that it's going to be.
It is technically a risk. I would say for a studio like Fox, because it's you look at Deadpool and the source material, and I mean he has a foul mouth. It's graphic. He's cutting heads off.
And they break the fourth wall. I mean, I don't know if they'll incorporate that from the comic book, but I mean,
that is so.
It has to have some humor. I think that is what will distinguish Deadpool from these other superhero movies.
Yeah, and I think I just thinking about Guardians of the Galaxy and then Suicide Squad is kind of DC's answer to it.
Right.
I think this is a version of that where it's like these characters that are like you don't know how to exactly do them, but when you do them right, it just blows up.
Well, and they're not like mass media huge characters, but they're huge in the fan base world.
Yeah.
So
you got to transcend that. You got to hit those quadrants,
which Guardians obviously did.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see and I think with that cast, Suicide Squad can potentially.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool, we'll see.
Yeah. So what should we end on? What do you guys want to talk about? How much? Oh, do we got to wrap it up?
We're getting the segment.
All right, that Terminator trailer sucked. Okay.
I actually don't think it sucked.
Really?
I thought it was all right.
I
have low expectations. I'm not expecting much from it.
Mine couldn't be lower.
Yeah, mine's so low because we did talk about it a little bit. I did have a scoop.
We're getting the music.
We are getting.
We're out.
Played off our own show.
Out. Well, so much for Terminator talk. It doesn't look good to me. Period.
Guys, go see Top 5 this weekend if you're in New York or Los Angeles.
There you go.
This has been Meet the Movie Press. Thanks for coming on, Jamie.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, let's do some call-outs real quick. Jamie, where can the good folks find you?
Yes, check out the website, www.iamrogue.com. You can chat with us on Twitter at IamRogue. We're on Facebook.
What's your Twitter handle,
I'm
personally?
at Philbrick and Jami Philbrick, Facebook.
I'm at the Sneider on Twitter. Guys, rate, comment, like the show.
Absolutely.
ReadTheRap.com.
And I am at Reilly Around on Twitter. Go ahead and subscribe to the show, share it with your friends, and visit www.schmoesknow.com. This is Meet the Movie Press. Happy Friday, everyone. Popcorn Talk Nation, we're out.
All right.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.